Multiplying fractions, visual fraction models. In this lesson, you will learn how to multiply fractions by a whole number. How? You will look at visual fraction models. You know that fractions can be shown as part of a whole or part of a set and represent a value between 0 and 1. Each one of these fraction models shows the fraction 1/4. You know that the top number in a fraction is called a numerator and stands for part of the whole. Our numerator in this example is 1 because one part of the whole is shaded in. You also know that the number down below the line is the denominator, and that represents all the parts that make up the whole together. Our denominator for these fractions is 4 because each fraction model is split up into 4 equal parts. You also know how to multiply whole numbers, like in the problem 3 times 4 equals 12. You could also say that you have 3 groups of 4, which also equals 12, or 4 plus 4 plus 4, which equals 12. This last example is an example of repeated addition. When you multiply a fraction by a whole number, you are doing repeated addition with the fraction. When multiplying fractions, you can also look at visual models. Let's see what that would look like. Here we have the fraction 1/4. This is what it would look like as a visual model. If we want to multiply a fourth times 5, we can multiply this visual model 5 times. Here we have a fourth times 5. So we've multiplied this visual model 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 1/4 pieces. So our numerator is going to be 5. You can see that our denominator is still 4 because each fraction model is split up into 4 equal pieces. So our denominator stays the same. It stays 4. That's an improper fraction. Remember, improper fractions can be shown as mixed numbers. So if we were to combine the individual 1/4 pieces together, our visual model would look like this. Now we have 1 whole and a fourth left over. And we would write that like this: 1 whole with a fourth left over. Let's see how this works in another problem. 4 times 2/3. Here's our fraction 2/3. If we are multiplying it times 4, we would have 4 visual models like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our fraction of 2/3 multiplied 4 times. So you can see that in our visual models, the denominator is still going to be 3. That will stay the same. But we can count up to find our numerator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our numerator is 8. What would this look like as a visual model? Let's see. Remember, another way to write an improper fraction would be as a mixed number, just like our model shows us. See how there are still 8/3 shaded for this model? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/3. This model shows us 8/3, but we can also write it a different way as a mixed number. We have 1 whole here, 1 whole here, and 2/3 left of the last whole. So we could write 2 and 2/3. And that would still be the same thing up here, 2, 2/3. In this lesson, you learned how to multiply a fraction by a whole number by using visual models.
How do you use a fraction model to multiply 4 times 2/6? In this lesson, you will learn how to multiply a whole number and a fraction by using a fraction model. Let's review. We have 3 vases and 2 flowers in each vase. We can think of it as 3 sets with 2 flowers in each set. 3 groups of 2, or 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. Here is a visual model that shows the same equation, 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 times 2 is the same as 3 sets of 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. We can think of multiplying fractions the same way we multiply whole numbers. 4 times 2, 6 is the same as 4 groups of 2, 6. To solve 4 times 2, 6, we will need a fraction model divided into 6. This fraction model represents 2 rectangles that each are divided into 6 equal pieces. Each piece represents 1/6. We need to show 4 groups of 2, 6. 4 groups of 2, 6 is the same as 2, 6 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 6, which equals 8, 6. We can also add the 1/6 to find our solution. 1/6 plus 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 1/6 equals 8, 6. 4 times 2, 6 is actually the same as 8 times 1/6. We have been solving equations where the whole number is multiplied by the fraction. Let's solve an equation where the fraction comes first. 2/3 times 2. This means that we want to find 2/3 of 2. First, we should draw a fraction model of 2 and divide each one whole into 3 parts, or thirds. Since we want 2/3 of each whole, we will shade in 2/3. Now we can add the thirds that are shaded. 2/3 plus 2/3 equals 4/3. Let's try a word problem. Daisy eats 3/4 can of dog food in one day. How many cans of dog food will her owner need to leave the dog sitter for 3 days? 3 groups of 3/4, or 3 times 3/4. We will expect a product that's less than 3 because we will be multiplying 3 times a fraction that's less than 1. So we know Daisy will need less than 3 cans of dog food. 3 groups of 3/4 is the same as 3 times 3/4, or 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4, which equals 9/4. Daisy will need 9/4, or 2 1/4 cans of dog food. In this lesson, you have learned how to multiply a whole number and a fraction by using a fraction model.